Very good. Good evening. I'm Paul Kunkemuller. I'm Chair of the City of Groton Planning and Zoning Commission, and I'm calling our meeting for Tuesday, May 19th, 2026 to order at 6:30. First item on our agenda is roll call. So I am here. Lee Bergeron is here. Robert Boris is here. Pauline Lothrop is not here. Mary Lowe is here and Jason Rusk is here. So there are we have five members present. We have a quorum. Next item on our agenda is approval of minutes. First, from the planning and zoning meeting from March 17th, 2026. Is there a motion to approve? So, Mr. Boris. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Bergeron. All right. Are there any changes or comments on the minutes from March 17th, 2026? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes from March 17th, 2026 as submitted, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? All right, those minutes are approved. 5-0-0. All right. Next up is the planning and zoning meeting minutes from April 21st, 2026. Is there a motion to approve?
So
moved. Motion from Mr. Rusk. Is there a second? Second from Mr. Boris. All right. Any changes or comments, questions on the motion? Or on the minutes? All right. Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from April 21st, 2026, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? All right, so those minutes are approved 5-0-0. All right.
Oh, sorry, just a comment on both sets of minutes. I just want to confirm the spelling of your last name only has one L.
Yes.
Okay.
L-H-O-W-E.
Got it.
Yep. Yep.
We've been double L'ing you
It's
in our agenda and our meeting minutes. And I'll
it's
make
an odd spelling. It's my last name.
all right, we'll make sure that correction is made going forward.
Could be comfortable. All right, next item on the agenda is the staff report. So Taylor.
So we have Mr. Igor Boris, who is hoping to potentially seek a map amendment application. However, this is his preliminary review for his site plan he's proposed. So according to the MUDD regulations, the applicant can come before the board and have a preliminary review done before he submits this amendment. And the second one was that I put in some new stormwater regulations in section 7 for when we go review it, because I've been getting inquiries about paving existing parking lots, not expanding, not reducing, just paving them with impervious coverage rather than pervious coverage. And I've been telling them, and they've been asking me, can we install a drainage feature? And I don't have anything in the rights to really point to where they can install a drainage feature. So I met with Public Works Director, met with Heidi and Sierra, and we developed some regulations that could help regulate drainage a little better in this city. And then for third thing is we're looking into making my contract a more longer term contract, because here's I have taken some longer term projects here. So that would probably be for maybe 2 years, option to renew, just so that we can have some stability within this planning department. But that is pretty much it for my staff report.
Okay, that's good. It's good news on coming on for longer terms.
Yes.
You have to approve that? Would you like an endorsement? Okay, great. So thank you for that. All right, the next item is the mixed use development district preliminary review. Mr. Igor Boris, this is for 390 Main Street and 33 Baker Avenue. So Mr. Boris, if you would, please come forward. And
Chair, I'm going to recuse myself. I have a relationship with the.
All right. If anyone recuses himself?
So good evening, Commissioners. I'm the designer of 390 and also the owner. I decided to present the stormwater management plan using a rain garden approach. And the reason I'm using the rain garden approach, because the rainwater design, we spent almost 3 years, discussing it with Heidi and everything else, not going anywhere. So I ended up taking a course in Yukon, and got a certificate for rainwater design. So basically, I'm qualified for doing the design according to Yukon. So I laid out where the rain garden should be located, and I mounted on the site plan. I labeled it A1, A2, and A3, and the calculations is on the attachments that are provided on attachment B. So if you look at attachment B, all this calculations is for that. But in reality, it's a very simple calculations according to the Yukon. So basically, to calculate the design of the rain garden, all you do is find out what the square footage of the impervious area is, which is the roof and everything, all that stuff that would drain into the rain garden. And then there is a specific rule that you divide it by 6 for clay soil, or divide it for 10 and for sandy soil. So in the calculation, I'm using the clay soil, but that's the most stringent part of it. So I believe, and then I calculated for the 100-year in an emergency year, it's all in the happen, and it definitely meets the requirements of 7.2 and stormwater management plan.
So, any questions or comments from commissioners?
Yeah, what are the limits of our discussion about this tonight?
So that's a good point. So do you want us only to focus on the stormwater?
That's all. It's because, I had almost took me 3 years to work in that area.
Okay, so you want to focus only on the stormwater area?
Just
You don't want to talk about anything else about the,
No,
you know, talk about I have a question about what's gonna happen with the lots, right? Because some of the stormwater goes on to into 33 Baker, correct?
no, not as,
Yeah.
it's basically we're gonna take the Baker Avenue after the whole thing gets approved and transfer it to the 390 property.
Okay, so those two properties will then be combined.
Combined, that's correct.
All right. And would the house that's on Baker remain there?
Yes, it will.
Okay. But so the A2 and A1 are where the rain gardens are going? Is that what?
Yeah,
Am
it's
I
the
correct?
A2 and there's A1, which is for the front. And that's where the new building, so we're gonna take the old building that is there, take it off and put a new building on.
And then that long A3 is also rain garden?
Yes.
Okay.
And also the last attachment, I actually provided pictures of the site, so it's more visible as far as what we're doing. So the first picture, if you could turn to that, is the building. And the footprint will be exactly on them. I'll take the building off and it will go on it, but obviously extend all the way through where the parking lot. So it's going to be 33 It's 66 wide by 81 feet long. And then if you take a look at the other picture, next one, you can see the layout of the land, you know what I mean? So it's fairly, it lends itself real nicely to put on the left-hand side, put the rain garden in. And all in the parking lot is going to be on the right side, and it will drain right into it.
May I ask something? Looking at the layout here, I'm
Yeah.
looking at this portion called driveway, to the right side.
Yes,
I guess it's, what's it? East, to the right side of this residence at 33 Baker, the driveway, are you expecting runoff to run down that driveway and in the direction of A2?
no, you're talking about the existing driveway?
I don't know if it's existing or not exactly, but I'm talking about the thing that's clearly marked with the big word driveway. Looking to it's all the right side of the layout, to the right of the,
On Baker up there where you're gonna access Baker to your right.
Oh, the Baker,
it's
yeah,
on Baker next to this residence,
Yeah.
33 Baker, it's a
Yeah.
driveway coming down.
right. That's
That's,
a new driveway. And there's an existing driveway that is for Baker Avenue.
Right.
I mean, for the Baker guy.
so for my question is for the new driveway, is it your expectation that rainwater will drain
Yeah,
toward A2, the rain garden?
That's correct.
Is that the expectation?
that is correct.
Not to drain into the house?
No, it's just gonna drain into A2.
Okay,
And
not
that's how
the
the
house.
calculations work.
All right, that's what I was,
There is a slight grade from east to west
Right.
across that driveway perpendicularly toward the existing residence. It's about a foot difference if you look at
yeah,
depending on how they level that driveway.
it goes from 64 to 63 to
Right.
62, if I'm reading that right.
Yep, there's a little bit of a drain back toward Baker at the entrance to the driveway.
Right,
And then
so,
once you get to the peak, just where the driveway turns into parking lot, then all the water goes to the south and west.
that's what I'm wondering. I'm assuming that's what the expectation is. Water is gonna go down the driveway.
Yeah, the peak is right here where driveway becomes a
Right.
parking lot. So all the water goes this way in the driveway and then this way in the parking lot toward the rain garden.
Okay, that's
You're reading the topographical gradients correctly.
okay. Thank you.
So the design for the rain garden is for even more than it could handle, you know what I mean? It was designed for emergency, with the rain being, almost 4 inches per 24 hours, Normally, the rain for 24 hours is around 1 or 2 inches.
Yeah, that's you're designed for the 100-year storm. correct?
Yes, well, matter of fact, over 100-year storm for an emergency,
So I guess one thing that I did notice in the calculation on the rain garden, on the square footage. So you add up all the square footage for the impervious surface.
Yes,
And then you got which comes to 28,700 round numbers. And the total lot area is 44,800. And your calculation says the total impervious area is 0.64%. It's actually 64%
right,
of that is pervious. I mean, the fraction is 0.64, but the percentage, it's 64% is impervious.
yes,
Okay, all right, just so we're clear on that, but you might want to clean that up on
okay,
the application.
Yeah, I was wondering about that when I was reading it the other day. Actually, under this calculation of impervious area, the X and the Y, the place, the X and the Y, can you explain us what those numbers actually are? Because there's a funny, like a comma and then a 4 after it. It's just puzzling to me.
I actually think it's a typo. I think it's supposed to be a decimal on that.
Yeah, okay.
That's right. Because there's a 20,501.4 above, so I think it's a typo.
Well, I figured
Under
that,
X.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the excess, adding all the sums, the sum that is added to it, and then divides the total area.
so it's, X is 2,732.4
Yeah.
square feet.
Right.
Okay. And the impervious area is 64% of the property.
That is correct.
I was doing third grade long division on Sunday while I was reading this, and it really was it didn't contribute to my day of rest trying to do long division. I'll tell you that. I haven't done that in a while. It was a workout.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Other questions or comments?
So I don't, the existing residential structure. 33 Baker.
Yes,
GIS does not list who owns that. Is that you? You're talking about combining the two lots.
well, I'm talking about leaving the 33 Baker, part of it in the present residential, and only combining, the driveway and half of the lot.
Okay, so 33 Baker will remain on the new combined lot as a rental property in addition to the 44 unit apartment.
That's correct.
But you're gonna combine the whole lot from 33 Baker or just part of it?
Just part of it. I wanted to leave that present building on 33 Baker alone in the present, as it is.
Okay.
I think it's
But you're not cutting out the lot. You're combining that whole lot with the house as existing on it.
no, I will cut the lot.
So it's gonna, sounds like.
The lines, what it is, the driveway and the line over here, and then that building itself will all be by itself.
And the remaining property around 33 Baker will remain 33 Baker as a lot.
Yes,
Okay, I'm sorry, that's the distinction I was trying to make sure. I
Uh,
didn't want to put words in your mouth.
do you own 33 Baker?
yes, I do.
Oh, it's your house.
And that's R5, 33 Baker, is that in R5 zone?
5 it is, or 5.2.
Okay, so will that remaining lot have 5,000 square feet on it? So
Yes.
It will? Okay, because if it's certainly a conforming lot now, we don't wanna make it we don't wanna let 33 Baker become non-conforming. So, that lot.
I will check it.
Okay,
If
yeah,
it's
that
not-
lot will need to have
Yeah. If
35,000 square feet on it.
if it doesn't meet that square footage, then I will convey the whole lot into the whole 33 acre lot to 390.
Yeah, great, you might be able to move the line, well, you need it for the parking lot.
Yeah, in the driveway.
In the driveway.
So I guess the reason why I asked that, if he's subdividing a lot and 33 Baker remains, it remains okay to be, that size. Just eyeballing it, looks like you're probably fine for 5,000 square feet, but if it weren't, then I would want to make sure that we include the concept of the primary use multi-unit and the other rental property on the same property if they were going to be on the same property. That's a different calculation for us in terms of what we've got in the rules. So it would be a different exception to what you know what I mean? It'd be another primary use of a different sort on the same property. But it looks like we probably won't have that situation.
Do you also own the property to the north on things, the next property to the north?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so, I mean, if push came to shove.
Yeah.
Right, you could move that, west line of that lot. I'm sorry, the east line of that lot further west
Yes,
to make Baker to make the Baker line 5,000 square feet, right? That's would be a doable thing. I mean, if we have a problem with not having 5,000 square feet in the Baker lot, you can move that line 3 feet or whatever you need to do, and then because you're on wall, so it's we're just it's not. I don't think it's a big deal, but Taylor, you're nodding. Is it that you
Yeah,
yeah
it looks doable, that worst case.
okay, all right, just
so then I'm putting as stated as 44 units. But as you know, electric boat is expanding and electric boat is in dire need of providing housing for the people that work for them. And it's ideally, for them, because they're only like right across the street is all their parking.
right now. I mean, from my perspective, I'd be surprised if you had any trouble renting them.
Right.
Are you willing to share with us what are they all going to be 1 bedrooms or
All
what's
going
the
to be
breakdown?
1 bedrooms.
All 1 bedroom.
And the reason, because I read an email from Electric Boat and everything else, they're looking to provide, housing for their engineers, which are single and childless.
Fair enough, but yeah, I mean, I'm not here to
Well, that's
tell you what the market is, but you know, I mean, you're the developer, so that you'll know.
Mr. Boris, you said you've been in touch with Electric Boat?
No, that's something that was in the paper.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard you say you had an email exchange.
And eventually, once I go forward and when I get approval, I'm planning to get in touch with them and to see what their desire would be.
I don't know if there's any reason you would know this, but we hear a lot about Electric Boat hiring, but I'm curious about the number of new hires at that exact location. Do you know anything, have any insight about that? There's no reason why you really would.
No, it's all I know is there's a need for housing. And it has a beautiful view of the river, So if I was looking for housing and working for Electric Road, this would be an ideal place for me.
Yeah, I thought since you had this plan,
Yeah.
you might have some insights into the number of persons actually coming to that location of Electric Boat, because we've heard all the
Yeah,
big numbers, but I don't know if I've heard any.
nothing more than it's on the paper.
Right,
Actually, I think it was in the paper. Not, I think, I read it in the paper.
yeah.
And they, based off of the total number, they said how many were coming to Groton and how many were going to Rhode Island.
Okay,
Yeah, full disclosure, I'm an employee of Electric Boat at the Groton Shipyard. And I think the total number for the year was somewhere in the vicinity of 8,000
Yeah.
hires with about half or more staying in Groton.
so how many at the Groton location?
Something like 4,000 or so,
4,000.
yes. But I think you're right. I think it was in the paper. Probably better information than I personally have.
Yeah, there was a story a couple of weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
Other questions or comments?
So you mentioned that you're using clay soil. Can you explain why?
Well, the clay soil is the strictest requirement, sand, and it's divided, by 6. If there's sand, it was a sandy soil, you divide it by 10, and it would be less stringent. And
Okay, so the divide by 6 or divide by 10
Yeah.
is how you calculate its absorptive capacity.
Yeah.
So you take the volume of water coming off the roof and the impervious surface of the driveway.
Yeah.
And you take that volume of water and you divide it by 6, meaning that the capacity of the clay soil
Yeah.
is 6/10 of that water volume. It can absorb that much.
Right.
If it were sand, it would be divided by 10. It'd be
so it's basically through experiment and everything else, you can decide it that, you need divided by that. It's the rainwater for 1 inch of rain, you need 6 inches of soil, rain garden. you know, and that's all described in the calculations.
So you're not including any like, underground tanks that the water sifts through the sandy soil and.
Yeah. No, it's basically providing a rain garden approach. There's major benefits. It provides really nice looking, you know what I mean? It's, you know, if you just put pipes underneath there, you know, then you're relying on everything going into the ground. But using rain garden approach, you also get absorption from the sun and the things that you plant. And it's a much better approach. I haven't seen too many people using that. Maybe it's they didn't have the land.
The issue that we heard about, actually, at the last meeting was that, maintenance tends to be a problem. With
Yeah.
that.
I remember that,
That
yeah.
can be a maintenance issue.
Yeah.
Because if you don't maintain them, they stop working, so that's a, you know, that's
The,
something to keep in mind.
Does a rain garden have many plantings like bushes and grasses?
Well, it's if you look at, you know, I provided some pictures what I was going to use in the rain garden. You know, it's further on. You know, these, yeah. You know, there's a picture for A1. There's a picture for, you know what I mean?
Which section is that?
That's in section 5.
Five,
Yeah.
right. So there's like tall grasses I'm seeing.
Some are tall grasses, and then that's the one on A4, which was called grasses.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the long piece.
Yeah, like the chairman was saying, we were hearing from a previous person on a
Yeah.
different matter, and he said sometimes with rain gardens, there's a problem of keeping them in good repair,
Yeah.
keeping them in good condition.
We will make sure it will be maintained.
So that'll be your responsibility.
Absolutely.
The property owner will be responsible.
And the reason why I bring up the question about clay soil is because I've seen in my experience, when people do lay down clay soil, it doesn't really drain as well as they want to.
Yeah.
So maybe still
Yeah.
different other soil options, but if that's.
Yeah. Well, no, it's actually I did some tests, you know, yeah, and that's what, which one is that? It's item 7. You know, we had charged some switchboard tests and all that area, the different, so majority is actually sandy oil, I mean, sandy sand, you know. But for the design, I wanted to use clay.
Not because you're planning to add clay, but just to do the worst case calculations.
That's correct.
Taylor, what you have any comments? What do you think about the plant? Was this adequate in your professional opinion?
So it does require for a licensed survey engineer, and I see you're working with Serendia Associates, so where are they in this?
Well, it's basically, like I mentioned, it took me 3 years to design it with him. And it really cost me a lot of money. So as a result, I took a course and I did a preliminary design and I'm approved, and then I'll present it. I send it to him and he will do it.
Yeah, because I would like to see a stamp of approval. from
Yeah.
Serendia.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm good.
Yeah, I would echo what Taylor said about taking a look at soil options, because clay absorbs so much slower than sand.
Yeah.
That you may want a dual layer approach where
Sure.
the deep, storing volume is the clay below, and then nearer the surface, you have a sand layer, because, that parking lot area, as we see with electric boat parking lots.
Yeah.
All that asphalt, just all that water running, if it's running over your rain garden because it can't absorb fast enough, where's it gonna go from there?
And I'm looking to it, and I'll get with my designer. And just for information, if this thing works out, the property next to it, I'm planning to also do the similar building or maybe a different building.
Just well, it's not that small, but just a detail, is the Copper Beach gonna remain standing?
At first, we decided to take it off, but now I'm gonna look into it, see if I could trim it or maybe even move some of those parking areas away from it. Because I have plenty of parking. I have basically the way it's designed right now, I have 71 parking areas and I only need 44.
It's an enormous tree.
It's a beautiful tree.
It's been around for a long time,
Yeah.
I assume.
Yeah,
When you go for the formal application, I would like to see some parking calculation of how many spaces that there is.
sure.
All right, other questions or comments from commissioners? Anything else for Mr. Boris?
And do we have existing office parking lot, currently, what are you planning to do with that?
Just leave it the way it is.
My list here.
And would that be counted towards, would that be like a shared parking for the office and this development, or would that just be for the office?
The office has its own parking and it meets the requirements, so I don't need any more. So there's no share parking.
Where is the office that we're talking about here?
It's the building,
Just the south,
Oh, the
the
big.
commercial building, yeah.
That's your HQ, headquarters, yeah.
And this is a, assume an artist rendering of what your apartment building could look like next to the commercial building. That's on the tab 5.
All right, anybody? Kelly, anything else from you? You're good? So we're recommending a sign off by a licensed engineer. I thought I read somewhere that you had 4 feet to ledge, correct? At minimum?
yeah, the requirements was
Was that read that in the stormwater report?
yeah, and there's not, and the requirements is if you have, at least 4 feet of soil, it's allowed to put a rain garden into it, so
So.
we do have more than.
Yep. So you've confirmed that you have more than 4 feet to ledge?
Yes.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I do have a report that shows.
Okay, that's in the report, that's in section 7.
Section 7, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll just study that report a little bit to make sure I understand. I understand what it's telling me, but I guess that's why I get the engineer to sign off on it.
Yeah.
Mr. Boris, will there be apartments on all 4 levels?
It will be on 4 level,
4 levels.
and then there's gonna be, on the bottom, there's gonna be walkout basement. And in that walkout area, it's gonna be, either recreational stuff for the people that live there. And also the top floor, we also have like a veranda overlooking the river for the people that live there.
Nice. To the commission, I might be getting the information muddled from all this reading, but I thought there was some requirement that the ground floor was supposed to be commercial or recreational. I might be
That's
thinking of a
with
different,
mixed use.
pardon me?
That's with the mixed use development.
Okay, not what we're talking about.
But according to the MUD, that's a requirement of the.
Yeah, and I'm having that all recreational,
But this is gonna be a mix,
yes,
multi.
Where you're gonna apply under the MUD
right.
regulations, right?
So there is
Yeah.
a little, thing in the MUD regulations where,
Says you have to do it, but not really, is it?
so there is, you can go for a, just a multifamily apartment. I was trying to find to get
I thought I read something about the ground floor has to be commercial or recreation.
Yeah, that's for,
or parking.
in many zones, that's a requirement for mixed use, developments, but I know that in this special zone. I did see something that was like in regards to just multifamily buildings.
Cause I think that's why 5 Corners is gonna have the commission on the bottom.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's like 5.4.A.6, it says specific requirements for residential development in the MUDD. Multifamily dwellings, in addition to other applicable standards section, multifamily dwelling complexes within the MUDD shall comply with following additional requirements and, pretty much gives that. I'm not sure if I'll have to reread it, but I didn't see anything requiring, at least in this zone, for the first floor to be commercial.
Well, I was doing a lot of reading over the last couple of days and I might have scrambled some of the information across zones. I don't know.
it is in 6.4.8.3.8. That's. That says that it needs commercial space. And at 5 Corners, we got it by, basically, they had like one small commercial space on the first floor, I think, right?
Yeah.
What they did.
One that they identified
Right,
and another one that was
right, and then,
potential.
yeah. But, I also recall reading somewhere that says you can't have residential on the first floor, so I don't know. We're looking at. These regulations aren't the most clear in the world, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and we're talking about potentially updating them or, you know. Reworking them, so, we can look at that, but.
I believe it just applies to the use of a mixed use.
Okay, well, we can investigate further, but, yeah, I mean, it's my understanding in general that to use, because the MUD is for mixed use development. And you need to have some commercial on the first floor. You need to have commercial on the first floor and you couldn't have housing. So if that's actually the case, then, if that's what the regulation reads, then we'll have to work with you to see what can be done about that.
I thought I remembered commercial or recreational,
Could be,
commercial or recreation, somewhere in that community
but something, but I know, there's something that,
on the ground floor.
so.
I was looking for some commercial stuff, but and I'll make a decision when I submit the final. And just more information on the building. The building height requirements is 60 feet for the MUD, and our approach is our building is going to be 58 feet. And you start the green, the street elevation. The street elevation is at 24 feet. We're going to start at 26 feet. So they're going to allow 2 feet for in height, before we put the.
So we can find what I think you were talking about. For any phase of the MUDD contained dwelling unit, such phase shall also include not less than 3% of the gross floor area of buildings within that phase of the MUDD as commercial or recreational development, which calculation shall be made on cumulative basis. In the event that a commercial or recreational development, any phase of development of MUDD contains in excess of the minimum required floor area of commercial or recreational development, the excess contained in such phase over the requirement for such phase shall be applied to satisfaction of a minimum commercial and recreational use development required in future phases of development of MUDD.
Do we have a definition for recreational development? The reason why I ask is, could that 3-something% footprint be a gymnasium area, workout area for the residents, Or does recreational by that, and that, no, does that imply some other kind of recreation?
So it says recreational facility, a place designed and equipped for the conduct of sports and leisure time activities may include indoor outdoor space that may be used for passive or active pursuit, may be publicly or privately owned or operated, so it could be a gym. The amenities.
So I know that makes logical sense. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't using that term incorrectly.
So I think you should look at 5.4. Mr. Boris, 5.4 point. Should have missed directly. 5.4.3.8. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it says multifamily residential uses established in the size and configuration consistent with urban scale residential development, provided however that no such residential use shall be permitted on the first floor of any structure within the line. So.
Another requirement, that I got out of the thing is, there has to be a space of 30 feet between the two buildings, like the present building that I have and the proposed building I have to have a space of 30 feet. This makes sense. You can put that on the stuff.
So that's in there now. Like, we're looking, we're taking a look, we're working our way through the regulation stuff. And so, we can talk about whether that really makes sense given what we're trying to do in terms of housing. Right, that's a little bit in conflict with some of the things that we've been, and I know that, and we know from other projects that generally people don't really like to build the commercial space on the first floor. Right? It's not economically good for the project.
Yeah.
So, we can look at that, see what makes sense. But just so you know what's out there.
People have a much easier time filling that space with an office space rather than a commercial space, but.
Yeah.
Well, we could, I mean, that's which again.
Yeah.
We can talk about how we want to, what makes sense to,
Yeah.
in terms of rewriting that.
I may put some commercial space on because right now, my present building is, it's been filled with commercial stuff. So, there might be one.
Yeah, well, we could,
I just wanted to get a good feeling that the approach that I'm using for the stormwater design, is acceptable before I start going in the full blown thing.
well, I mean, as long as it meets the requirements in terms of the runoff, then, I think it's fine. And as long as you're aware of and commit to doing the maintenance on it so it continues to work properly. I mean, we don't want to be putting a lot of additional stormwater onto Thames Street there, because we already have stormwater management problems there. So we don't want to, we don't want to.
And that was our problem for 2 years, keep it on. until we've gone with the rain garden design, because the rain garden absorbs 100% of the bill I generate into the rain garden.
Right. So no, so I mean, I think the approach is, you know, is good as long as it, you know, as long as the calculations work out and the engineer signs off on them based on all the available information. Fair enough?
There,
Anything else we can do for you?
no, I appreciate it.
Any other questions or comments from staff or commissioner?
Just the things we've already kind of scratched at here that we need to take another look at the regs to make sure that whatever comes from the next iteration of a design that we're in bounds.
Because, you know, I mean, we've been, you know, we've removed the requirement in the commercial zones to have commercial space on the lower floors of allowed multifamily buildings without commercial space in the GCR zones. So it, you know,
Yeah, commercial first floor is optional.
is optional, right? So, you know, from, you know, without doing a great deal of scholarship on it,
Yep.
it would seem to me that the same approach in Five Corners or WBR.
This is
would
WBR, right?
Right, yeah, would also make sense. You know, because those zones are a mixture of commercial and residential, so.
So I understand there's some changes coming. Is that-
Well, we're working our way through updating the regulations because a lot of it's driven by some new state statutes that require it.
Uh-huh.
So we're gonna, you know, we're gonna look at everything that we think could use to be improved. So that a fair way to say it?
Yeah.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
first the changes that are out of our control that are,
Yeah.
Being pushed from top down, and then the things that we are trying to apply.
Right, but the previous city planner wasn't really happy with the way these regulations were written either, so.
Yeah.
We've got. We had a couple professionals tell us that we probably ought to take a look at this, so. All right,
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
thanks for coming in.
Comments, and I can incorporate them all, and I'm gonna go ahead with the formal application.
Thanks.
Good for you going to get that education.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was-
It was really 2 years we couldn't figure out how the hell to do it, you know?
Yeah.
The simple thing is,
Botanist.
you come have a course, great. Thank you very much again.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, Bob, we're done. I don't know. All right, so we're on to the next item on our agenda. Mr. Boris has rejoined us. And this is the zoning regulation review of sections 2, 3, and 7.
Mr. Chairman, can I just ask something before we go?
Sure.
I was reading all this material over and over the weekend from Mr. Boris, and it kept referring to a section 7.7 in reference to stormwater management.
Mm.
And I tried, but I couldn't find that stormwater management in 7.7 of our regulations. And then I looked in the state quality management, water quality management. I didn't know if I was looking just in the wrong place. Is it our, it was 7.7 was referenced several times.
I believe it's actually 7.8. than the
Yeah.
actual stormwater thing.
I looked in, and actually we have 7 here. I looked at it, it was, that was reference, lighting or something, public lighting.
Yeah, it's, well, seven, it's actually one of the things we're gonna talk about tonight if we get to section 7.
Okay,
And that, because that's stormwater management is I think in this version, it looks like it's 7.8. It
okay.
might have been 7.9 before, but anyway, yeah, it's in there.
Is it, okay,
Yeah, section 7 can be pretty darn.
I looked and I didn't see it.
All right, so we're on to regulation review, sections 2, 3, and 7. So section 2, we went through in a lot of detail at the last meeting. And I think we're pretty much, there were a couple of things that were outstanding. There was where's my notes? There were some on the ADUs, there were some drawings that had to be removed, right?
Yeah, Sierra and I fixed that.
Okay,
Well, Sierra did.
all right, so that is done. So that was done, and then I had reformatted the recreational vehicle definition just to be. I think after the meeting, I did this just to be consistent with the way other things like that were. It's bulleted because that was consistent with the other formatting, but that was the formatting change. There it is.
Awesome.
Got it right there. So there's that. And does anybody else have any changes or comments to this? Commissioners, Taylor, anything you want to say about it? I mean, you're.
This is great. As someone that does zoning enforcement, deals with a lot of trailers.
But I mean, that was all in there. It was just, I think it was like letters instead of bullets, but anyway, everybody happy with section 2 as it currently stands? If it's good. All right, let's move on to 3.
I know for exchange I did, we added the definition for a 2-family attached dwelling. So I propose that to be used in these residential zones. I just didn't know which zones you want to permit that in.
Well, one of the things about section 3 is if this is where we might be able to make some, could make some changes to help with the missing middle housing and also to align it with, there's some things in there that are a little different than we saw in, like the multifamily, some things about multifamily lot coverage and a few other questions. But one of the things that came up when we looked at this the last time was, did we need both 5.1 and 5.2? Because dimensionally, everything's the same. There were only a couple of uses allowed that were different. So, I guess anything we could, if we could simplify it somehow, that would make sense. But like so there were one of the things this is one of the things where 5.1 and 5.2 are different with the 1-family semi-detached dwelling and 2-family attached dwelling, 2-family detached dwellings. are allowed in 5.2, but not 5.1. And is there like is there a rationale for why we're going to do that? I guess it can depend on at least on where they are. Is that,
I don't know the history of why that decision was made. And I did talk with zoning and they didn't seem like they knew why either, so.
yeah, I mean, it could have to do with, and I'm, you know, I don't know where the R51 versus R52 are on the map. I don't have the map with me. Um,
Can you bring that on the screen? Yeah.
So there's 5.1 and there's, okay, there's a 5.1 and there are 5.2s right there, right? And that's roughly, that's a little bit down from East Vision. Russian. And there's also some 5.1 up there, and some more 5.2. So it looks like five. One doesn't look particularly more dense than the other, right? I mean, is it,
No, remember we were looking at the use, it really had to do with principal uses or accessory use. And there are some odd cases that were used to separate those two.
I honestly don't recall. I mean, it's a small point. We can leave it just the way it is. I mean, one of the things that, you know, if we want to look at the missing middle is the 2 and 3 family homes, right?
It's also more simple if there's no reason to have those two. But, you know, I'd like to fully understand why they were there first.
Yeah.
And then,
Then can you explain the original purpose of
We can do some heavy research into the minutes
No,
of when they got approved, like that's the only
Yeah.
thing I could think of that would
well,
solution.
so we
Use the minutes that would not be searchable electronically.
The pain,
You know, it'd be like, why do we have a specific use for, you know, left-handed, you know, widgets or something?
Yeah.
You know,
not
because
to throw us all under
somebody,
the bus, but trying to figure out the rationale of a government entity and setting things up decades ago might be a little.
as we go, let's go back to so if we go like to section 3.2 right? So we allow one family semi-detached dwellings in R52, but not in R51. Right?
okay,
And we allow 2 family detached dwellings the same way. We're allowing essentially more dense development in 5.2. Is that fair to say? Would that be a reasonable conclusion to draw from that?
Yeah, multifamily, you're allowed, it looks like it's multifamily.
Right, it looks close to multifamily in those respects, yes.
Yeah, one family semi-detached is vertical wall separation. Two that are townhouses,
The duplex.
a duplex with a vertical wall, yeah. The difference between a two-family attached and two-family detached is complete Greek to me. I don't understand, the subtlety of the difference in the definitions, but either way, it seemed to be a goal to keep it out of the 5.1 areas.
I'd also like to introduce you to our newest commission member, Andrea. She got appointed last night.
Oh, welcome.
Welcome.
Sorry, I just got the message so I can run.
Oh. Well, nice of you to join us.
I didn't even know what room to come to, so I guess not.
Do we know what street are provided? Because the only thing I'm thinking of is that a historic district down this?
Down where it's
See where 5.1 is over.
that portion of 5.1.
Yeah.
Some parts of it are, but
Not that much.
not that much of it. And I don't think that's got anything to do with it, because. But it looks like 5.2 is a slightly denser than 5.1. And if, but it is mentioned, because looks more like multifamily than, at least in a few places than 5.1. So we can keep them both. It's not, it just, all the building height and lot sizes and setbacks and coverage are all the same. Except for a couple of these allowed uses. But one of the things that, the missing middle piece is what they're, one of the things that is being proposed, the town is talking about doing it, is allowing, 2 and 3 family dwellings in the larger lot, in the zones with larger lots. Because we're already allowing them in the 5,000 square foot lot zones, and you could, if you allowed them in the 12,000 and 8,000 square foot zones, they'd actually be easier to fit on a lot in those zones. So I throw it out there for debate, if we want to consider doing something like that, or do we want to come back to visit the missing middle at some other point.
I'd be open to it. I think it's important to understand a little more of what this specific, look at some maps and have a deeper discussion about it, but it seems like a rational thing that we could entertain and vote on.
Was this the discussion we had where we looked over on the other side to Baker's Cove and why those lots were designated the way they were?
That was part of what we were talking about, yeah.
Yeah.
So, whenever this was all set up, obviously someone felt like they wanted more staff oversight on R5.2.
I think it comes down to density, the fact that R5.1 doesn't allow multifamily
Right.
structures, and I mean, if you look at the different neighborhoods that are 5.1 and 5.2, you can see that over time they have clearly panned out that way. 5.2 has a number of duplexes or,
right,
tiered multi-family homes.
yeah,
5.1 doesn't have any of those things. But there's a wide variance at 5.1 in terms of lot size
uh-huh.
and those sort of things. There are some much larger lots that still have a single family on them. So,
So when a neighborhood, a developer is moving toward multifamily, the city sought more oversight through a zoning building, a permit, through permitting.
Well,
That's the distinction there, permit required or not required in that table.
well, right, but that use is, so I think if you scroll, let's look at, I'm sorry, Taylor, if you scroll down, if we look at the special permit, so there's like, it's not any residential stuff in there, right? Is it, you can't do special permits.
For developers, is seeking a permit, like considered a hardship or at least one more hurdle to get through?
No, I mean, a permit is. Special permit that's a big hurdle because that involves a public hearing.
Yeah,
So so a special permit is a big hurdle.
but a staff permit,
Not particularly.
not so much.
Now, as long as the building conforms with what the boxes where it's checked and all
Yeah,
those kind of things, the lot coverage meets the requirements, the height and all those things, that's a go, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much what summer review is, as long as it meets all the boxes and
Right.
checklist. It's good to go.
I'm just trying to understand why a distinction would have been made for the for the requirement of a staff permit.
Well, just if you scroll up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we'll go back to, yeah, no, yeah, so just look at that.
Yeah.
The way that is written, you cannot put a one family detached dwelling in R12, R8, or R5.1.
Right.
Right. You can't do that. It's not
an option.
It's not an option, right? Or a two family detached one. You can't, those can't be built in an R in those three zones. And is there also a section about that requires no permit? There's no permit required, right? Those are accessory buildings though, right? Site plan approval is pretty limited, right? And we don't. Because under site plan approval, there's only, I think it's even, yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Telecommunications facilities are the only thing that require a site plan.
Yeah.
Right, and they are in the residential districts.
Okay, so
It's either
the document we're looking at already has some changes that we had proposed through our deliberations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I do think. I remember the conversation was when you looked at what the R1 was. It, like if you look at Baker's Cove, those are pretty good sized houses on pretty good sized lots. And the last thing you want is some tiny little two-family rooming and boarding or lodging house next door. So it was really to try to keep the atmosphere. You don't want a big house for 1.5 million next to somebody put up a tiny A-frame.
well, but the thing is, you can, as long as it's a single family home, it can be any size on the lot, right? I mean, there's no,
But isn't that a certain size lot?
yeah, it's a certain size lot, but you can put any size up. We limit the maximum size of the building,
Yeah.
but not the minimum.
Yeah.
Typically, I mean, by the time we limit the minimum sizes, we're talking about some multifamily situations, right? But it's R 5.2 looks like the way it's set up, it looks like it could be more dense. That's right. That's
Right. Right, but only by
Yeah.
×2.
Right. Only
Right.
by single family versus a two family.
Yeah.
Right? And how, so anyway, those are different. And the other difference is, on the special permit approvals, you can have a vocational training facility for persons with physical and developmental disabilities, subject to requirements of section 6. You can have that in 5.2 and not in 5.1, but those are the, other than that, those are the two differences. When I was talking about, we want to look at the missing middle, it was, should we be allowing 2 and 3 family homes in the larger zones where they could more easily fit? Like, it might be hard to fit, it would be probably difficult to fit a 3-family dwelling in on a 5,000 square foot lot, right? And like in our R5 zone, but 8,000 or 12,000, you might have more opportunity. So, that's we can look at that now, or we can not look at that now. It's, we're gonna come back and do this again later. Yes.
I just had a question. Should it be dictated by lot size or by the way you want the town to develop? Because to your point, you don't want to put 4 houses next, you have a 1.5 million house, and then you have another house, another lot, big lot with 3 little houses on it.
That is part of the reason.
Yeah.
Well, that would be the reason not to do that. Not to.
But I mean, you would have zones where it might be permissible and other zones, or as opposed to lot size. Lot size is not the only defining concept.
Correct.
Yeah.
But lot size is how we regulate. What you can do on a certain lot is by lot size. R12 is a 12,000 square foot lot. R8 is an 8,000 square foot. R5 is a 5,000 square.
But sometimes you have an overlay,
Right.
which would dictate that some is, whether it's dense or not dense, but it would be.
So if you said, for example, that in an R 5.1, that we wanted to remove the restriction for 1 family, semi-detached, and 2 family, okay, you could easily put 2, family dwellings on most 5.1 lots, right? And obviously that doesn't mean that you bulldoze all the existing structures and build duplexes on every lot 5.1. That's not what that means. But you could see how, if a house came down and a house were replaced, where you could have possibly a duplex that wouldn't necessarily even change the character of the neighborhood and not violate the lot size. But if you went to multifamily on a 5,000 square foot lot,
Right.
You could only go so far before the size of the building, the requirements for bedroom size and whatnot would push your building coverage to exceed what the lot size allowed. So you could only build so many multi before you would be too big for that lot.
But I'm not talking about lot size, I'm talking about you look at the whole town and decide where you want the density and where you don't want the density.
Which is actually, but that's pretty much what we've done with by the way the lot districts are set up right here. Because if it's an R 5.1 versus an R 5.2, you're allowing more density in R 5.2. You're saying these areas of the city, we're willing to have more we think can have more density than the one some other ones. And so then the bigger the lot gets, the lower the density gets, right? So by, because you can only have a single family home on either on a 5,000, 8,000 or 12,000 square foot lot. That's the only thing you can put on there unless you're in a multifamily zone. So, we've that's sort of been done already, unless we want to move if we want to start moving the zoning boundary lines, that's another whole project, right? And, but it's kind of been done already.
Because if we were to pursue with combining those, we would have to do a whole amendment and.
Right. So I say we just leave it. If we want to, and again, if we want to allow more density in the R51, the R8 and the R12, we would put more check marks in those boxes.
Yeah.
And you could add for, 3-family attached dwellings or 3-family, however you would do, 3 stacked units but then you get into, if you're doing the 3 stacked, you're going to be over the building height, right? 35 feet at your max in your residential lines. So, you want not me. Anyway. If we were going to do 2-family detached dwellings to be consistent, we put those at RM and R52, correct? Yeah. And I think there was a question about 2-family attached and 2-family detached. So
Look at that room.
yeah, so the 2-family detached and the 2-family attached, the difference is one has a wall between them and the other is a stacked. Is that correct?
So the attached it could be stacked or it could be between, or the detached is like 2
separate buildings on the same lot.
Well, that's, but 2-family detached says a dwelling. Which doesn't mean to me 2 separate buildings. A dwelling accommodating 2 dwelling units. So
detached.
that's 2-family detached.
Ooh.
So a dwelling with 2 dwelling units and having no vertical party wall or walls in common with an adjacent house or houses. So it doesn't, 2-family detached
It's a duplex.
is a duplex, but it's less restrictive than 2-family attached. 2-family attached is 2 dwelling units totally separate from the other by wall or ceiling and floor, except for common stairwells. So the stack, as you just described,
Well,
or
so there's no party wall in that definition.
Yeah, so the 2-family attached would be stacked, and then I guess in this definition, the detached dwellings would be like a duplex. Because they're sharing a.
So what about semi-detached? What does that mean in this all this garble?
Good question. We have to reread that definition, because
Is it semi-detached,
One-
attached,
that's the
and
one-
detached?
that's, 1-family semi-detached is vertical wall separating 1 vertical party wall.
Yeah. What I think we think of as a duplex.
Yes.
Yeah, so
it would probably be maybe you, my understanding. What's the other additional dwelling?
I don't know. I struggle with the clarity and the definition of 2-family detached dwelling.
Me too.
So one of the missing middle comments that we received, we, not only us, but other parts of the city government have received is existing structures that could be subdivided, an existing home, say, that could be subdivided into another dwelling unit within the same building just by, creating a party wall barrier or a, floor ceiling barrier, and access to, internal stairs or something. That if you could conceive of a 5.1 dwelling, that would be a good candidate for that, not being currently allowed.
Yeah, would meet the regs, yeah.
So I think that's something for us to consider. When we look at why do we still have 5.1 and 5.2, where if you merge them, the only difference would be that structures within 5.1 could possibly be eligible for internal subdivision. I mean, obviously, or replacement, but I know.
Yeah, but well, I mean, the thing is, if you merge them, then we do have to, then we're to map amendments and all that other stuff. So if we could, if we want to make them the same, we can just put the check marks in all of them, but but then it's, then it's, again, makes less sense.
So what you're describing, Jason, is adding a check mark under R51 for one family semi-detached. What you're describing.
Yeah, right.
One family.
And two family attached or two family detached.
Okay, yeah,
One family semi-detached is a very specific type of building
okay,
with vertical party wall,
Yeah.
mirror image,
yeah.
if you will.
Yeah.
But the two family detached and attached, depending on how comfortable you are with those definitions.
Right,
That is a multi-level home.
Yeah.
That is somehow subdivided, stacks or some other way inside.
the missing middle people have a term they call captain's house.
Hmm.
That references, I mean, the pictures I've seen of what they call captain's house is just a big house that
Sure.
has been cut up in one way or another.
Yeah, and you definitely see that in examples of that in 5.2. But plenty of big old houses in 5.1 that could be, the top floor or top two floors could be rented as separate dwelling units with just a little bit of modification.
Are we thinking of doing that?
I'm thinking that it should be on the table for discussion. I'm not
Right,
saying that that's the answer, but
right,
it would be a subtle way for the city to allow for somewhat more dense,
right,
in some, where it's appropriate, because we've already discussed it here, where we have people who are, household size shrinking, house remains large,
big house.
big house, too few people living there to support big house.
Yep.
What do you do with all that space? Can't afford to go anywhere else. But if you could rent out the top floor,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? That'd be an option. It's not an option in 5.1.
Right,
So
right,
I'm just saying if we allowed that to be an option in 5.1, that it wouldn't necessarily, immediately or grossly change the character of the neighborhood
it would make sense in some places.
in some places.
What do people think? Put the check marks on 5.1 as well, here?
I mean, this would be a proposed set of changes. We would still bring it to public hearing.
All right, it's all gotta go to public hearing, anyways,
It's just one big thing.
My opinion on this is we would need to be very specific with the public at the hearing as to what's changing here,
Yes.
because you're gonna, rightly so, people are gonna lean in and they're gonna wanna understand, so we should get clear on any aspects that we're missing, or we don't wanna miss, that, that the changes will kind of pull in. It might be accompanied with some, map adjustment, right? AI stepped in.
Yes. It happens.
I mean, I think it's a worthy conversation because of, the housing issues and everything else, but we need to do our homework, I think, and make sure it's laid out properly because the public will expect and deserves an explanation specifically.
Planning on when we get to that part, drafting a whole like summary section by section of the major amendments that we are gonna.
Yeah, and I think we should do just what we did with the last round, where we hold a public information session, in the big multi-purpose room and lay everything out and take all the questions and, make sure it's very clear what we propose to change.
So for argument's sake, should we put Jackson 5-1 to allow slightly more density there? Or you want to, we're gonna come back to this later. It's you can think about it and come back to it, a month from now, right? And then decide, but we're, it wouldn't make it wouldn't force anybody to do anything, but it would allow people to do things, right? That's what this does.
Well, yeah, right. And that's part of what is misunderstood with proposed changes. It's not like, we literally had folks that thought that by changing the general commercial zone, that we were going to immediately bulldoze existing homes and replace them with, multi-unit buildings. And so it needs to be clear, like Bob said, what the new changes could allow to happen if you chose to do that, or what a developer could choose to do if a developer had control of the property.
Is there a parking issue in doing that in 5-1?
Yeah, right. That's part of what we're looking at is, what would that mean? But I think, I think some of the parking issues have almost been solved for us by what the state is promulgating. Right?
Right.
In terms of reducing our ability to restrict density based on parking.
Yeah,
Well, I wasn't saying like as a way to reduce density, I'm saying like pragmatically, is there a parking issue?
Sure.
Like, because you can say, great, come on, let me have so many families in this house, but then if the driveway is as big as this table,
right,
where are they gonna go?
Or no driveway.
Yeah.
On street.
Yeah,
parking.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, the parking issue, that's a separate topic, but it's a good point, but I'm predisposed to think that as long as there's not a safety issue, if a developer is gonna put in units or anything else like this, and someone's willing to pay for that because they can walk to Electric Boat or they have a different way of parking on it, I would just generally be more, like I said, as long as it's not a safety issue for the area, regulation of parking, I sort of skew to being a little less, legislative about what's necessary.
So the new regulations, the new state statute, we really don't have much to say about parking and any of these single and two family, because until you get to more than 16 units, correct?
Correct.
Then that's when we can make parking rules, except in those the couple of districts where you're still allowed to regulate it, right?
Yeah, so if we were to make a conservation mitigation traffic district, then we can implement these parking rules and it's still for under 16 units too. But it would just have to conform to the state requirements of one parking space up to one bedroom and then 2 parking spaces, 2 bedrooms and up. So that's what we're working with.
And I agree with you, Paula, we could and maybe should sleep on it, take another look at it, because you've got R51 and R52 pockets scattered around the city.
Right.
Maybe it makes sense that we redesignate some 5-1 areas 5-2 and not others. But, places where the the existing structures might make sense. I don't, you know,
Right,
I'm not trying to be prescriptive here. I'm just trying to think of what we could do because of some of the feedback that we received about what people would like to do.
well, and when you look at, but when you look at the map, in a lot of cases, 5.1 and 5.2 are right next to each other.
Right.
Right, and they're, you know, Benham Road splits them or something, you know, one
Right.
side is one and one side is the other or something like that, so. All right, well, we won't, I guess we'll come back to it, because we mark this as a TBD.
We discussed this change and removing a confusion of what's a site plan approval, what's a special permit.
Right. And then is that, what's this now? This is,
Right,
No.
accessories.
okay, this is accessory buildings, right? So there's no changes here.
No
correct?
changes here.
What's the special permit for, these are,
Oh, we didn't we change that, the keeping of horses? I think we changed that, right? Because we were kind of scratching our heads about the less than 3 acres of land per animal, and it was. Wasn't it previously forbidden in R12 or something like that? Maybe it was.
well, if it's a parcel less than 3 acres, you couldn't do it in any of them, right?
Oh, yeah, very few of them.
The keeping of horses similar to livestock. I mean, you know, I guess there could be lots big enough in R5.1 and R5.2, but wouldn't be many of them, you know, I mean, in the city, I don't think there's gonna be any. Is it,
You got a couple lots in R12
that might be big enough, you know,
that would be big enough. You have a couple of lots in R8 that would be big enough.
but it's a handful.
You're right.
All right, so we
It
don't,
wasn't the horses, maybe it was some other thing.
so we have to get rid of the special, we got rid of the special permit, right?
Yeah, yeah, we get rid of this whole column here. Then I think we took out the lot depths.
Yep.
And then
So the question is the building coverage. You start to get into, and this is the, we're in our 12 here,
This is our,
our 12, yeah. So the building coverage, like, you know, we have 20%. If you look at like the town allows 30% building coverage in a lot that size. So it allows you to build a bigger home, basically on the same lot. Right, that's what that boils down to. So we want to make that bigger.
you're ready to do about the 30% building coverage, or two, or.
For what zone?
R12.
R12. That's what it is for in the town. I mean, you know. And then in R8, I think it's the same thing. The town is an R7, they allow 35%. The smaller the lot, the town actually allows more building coverage on a smaller lot. So the town's got an R7 zone, so it's a 7,000 square foot lot. They allow 35% coverage there. And we're 25. I don't know if we want to. Is there a downside to that, to allowing bigger homes?
Just allow them to build more stuff on there. That's it.
Well,
You're not changing the setbacks or anything.
no,
No.
just
So
how
it's-
much,
Right.
You still gotta live within the envelope.
right, of the
You
lot.
can do it within 35 feet.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just thinking of, you know, it wouldn't be too much of a stretch to put, you know, and add a story to, you know, a house that's already 1,500 or so square feet.
But that wouldn't be lot coverage anyway.
True.
It's going up,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
going up, right?
But even expanding it,
It allows you to put a bigger house up.
Yeah.
So we'll move this to 30 or 35% or keep it the way it is.
I'd go up, but
Yeah.
this way.
35%?
They're good.
I mean, that's the maximum, so you can build a smaller house, no one stop you.
yeah, without changing the setbacks. Setbacks is how you protect your neighbors.
Right, yeah.
You know, that's,
I mean, what you don't want are the mansions on these little lots that are, huge and right on top of the house.
busting at the seams, right? And if you don't change the setbacks, then.
Right.
Yeah.
But you are allowing a bigger home.
And we're in the 5,000 square foot of the.
Which screen are we on? I can't see the top of the, I can't see.
We're on
yeah,
the R5 one.
Okay. All right.
So on the R5, well, the town doesn't have an R5. Their smallest is an R this is in their 7, but again, they were $30 or $35. It seemed reasonable to me here. Again, you're allowing a bigger building on a small lot, but
Yeah, I'd be consistent with what we did for the last one. And again, since we're not changing the setback, I think
Yeah, setbacks is really where it's at in terms of.
you're not really having that. I mean, but like you said, I think you're giving people the option to go up, which is expensive, but if they can do it.
I mean, you're still talking about coverage.
It's covered, yeah, it's not about, it's about what width or length.
Okay, I'll give you an example. At my last home, which was in 5.2, I mean, we're talking about that now. I had to make design changes to a deck because that was part of the coverage. So, I don't remember exactly the square footage of the lot, but it was pretty small. I had to limit the deck size, which is lot coverage. Because that contributed, I would have exceeded my maximum percentage by whatever that, few square feet. So, that's kind of what I think of in terms of when you go to coverage.
yeah,
Yeah,
you're talking about the footprint of the house and any.
the finished coverage part.
Yeah.
It'd be, things that are above grade, like you could have cement pads and whatever, but if you go to a deck, now it's coverage. So.
All right,
35% or higher for 5.2.
well, let's go to 35 again. So we'll be consistent. And then multifamily, so this one is, so I had a couple of questions about this because this is where you did all that homework on what are all the towns doing with how they handle a multifamily. And
Before we move on, could I just ask one bit of clarity? Did we change the maximum building coverage to 35% for both of the 5 zones, 5.1 and 5.2?
yes,
We changed it for both, okay,
we're working, yep.
all right.
So on the multifamily, in terms of the building coverage, the town is 30%. And a lot of the East Lyme, Ledger, towns like that also allow 30% for multifamily. The place that's kind of, the cities generally allow more, like New London or Norwich. The outlier is Stonington, 60%. And there's a lot of building going on in Stonington, actually. And that may be part of the reason, but
Stonington or Stonington Village?
Stonington. Well, Stonington Village is, I mean, it's. You know,
No.
that's totally built up, it's very tight.
It's not like they have big houses on
Small lots, right, yeah, it's all very, it's very tight. But anyway,
There.
town of Stonington was 60%, so.
That would get attention at a public hearing.
Oh, yeah. But I'm just, I mean, just, but there's a, but it does encourage building.
Yeah.
You know, but there's, you know, I mean, there's not like there's a ton of vacant, empty lots, this city anyway, right? Anyway, to be consistent with the town, we would go to 30, right? On a multifamily. I would do at least that.
Yeah, I would say 40 if we're adding 35% for all the other ones, and 40 is not that much of a drastic change compared to the other zones.
Okay.
I would go 40, I'll say I was go higher.
That makes sense. I think what I think of when I look at our RM zones is the individual parcels that are in those zones, but aren't multifamily buildings. Because we got a few little like 5,000 square foot lots in the RM zone. And so I just think of those when we look at changing things there to make sure that we're not messing with those folks. And I think that, you know, if you keep the setbacks, I don't think it affects them that much. Apart from, like I said, maybe the ability to put more of a, you know, a deck or something in there. Property.
So you're saying in a 1 acre lot, you would have a almost half-acre building?
40% coverage.
Yeah.
You could have,
Well, it's a multifamily building.
Yeah, I'm just asking. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or it could be,
So the.
but in a non-multifamily building in the same zone, if we have a few of those, you know, outliers, you could have also coverage, you know, but that would coverage like garage and deck and, you know, shed and those kind of things that contribute to your coverage.
So just as in the London, in their multifamily is 40%. Wyndham 40%, Colchester 35, East Lyme, Ledyard, Montville, Norwich 30, the town is 30. Then, you know, our number is closer to, well, Waterford, but then you get into Griswold, Lebanon, North Stonington, Preston, and Salem, you know, which are not cities like Groton is at all, right? So, you know, we would, the 35, I think the 35 to 40% neighborhood is comfortable, at least based on what other people are doing.
So let's just look at what we're talking about here.
Yep.
In 5,000 square feet at 25% is only what, 50. Same for R1. R12s are 12,000 square feet, it's only 2,400. Do we want to make it higher? I mean,
Well, that's what we just did, right?
on that one, but okay, so you did it on that one, but then you're still just got to have 20% on the 12,000 square foot in R12.
So we didn't touch R12.
I thought we did. Let's go back and.
So what I'm trying to get at is if
Yeah,
you're gonna
yeah.
increase consistently.
No, that's understood. We went
So we
to,
bumped R12 to 30% from
Right.
20.
so that leaves, so that means you can put a 3,600 square foot house on that, right?
And
Which
what did
is-
we do to R8? Yeah, same thing, 35 from 25.
Right. So that means you can put in, yeah. We were talking about 24 and 25 to 26, 2,800 square feet.
2,800, yeah.
An 8.
That's at 35.
On an 8,000 square foot lot.
Yeah. And then we're when you get down to the fives, then we went to 35. So you can put,
1750.
right, okay, so, you know. But I mean, at 25%, it was tiny, right, by today's standards.
Yeah.
And then, so. The other thing, okay, so I mean, while we're on multifamily. So we went to 40, but the other thing that the town has is, like, we have the 4,000 square feet per dwelling unit. The town is 2,000. Is the minimum square feet per dwelling unit. So, you know, because what 4,000 square feet per minimum is, means you could only put 10 units on a 40,000 square foot lot, right?
Yeah.
Which is
A lot.
not, right? I mean, a 40,000 square foot lot is an acre.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
So the town has 40,000 square feet is the minimum lot size, and the minimum square foot per dwelling unit is 2,000. Which, you know, and we took out this whichever is greater thing, which I think made sense.
Yeah.
How are we? Whichever is greater. Whichever is greater is how we're getting away with the apartment size we have now. Because those aren't 4,000 square foot apartments.
Well, it's 4,000 square feet of lot per apartment. So, it would, you know, basically on if you, you know, on a 5,000 square foot lot, you can only put one apartment, right? I mean, that's what that one dwelling unit. If it was a multifamily, but anyway, it could. The town has the minimum of square foot per dwelling unit, and it says minimum is 2,000 square feet per dwelling unit, which seems reasonable to me. I don't know what other people think.
Well, it's a question of how do you feel about 20 apartments per acre instead of 10 apartments per acre?
Yeah.
Well, you know, one of the things we've been trying to do is to make it easier to build housing, so.
Yeah, yeah. I just meant, you know.
Yeah, well, no,
broadly
but
speaking,
right, but
Yeah.
you know, on a, you know, say in, you know, on the project we were just talking about with Mr. Boris, right? If, you know, if he was in a multifamily zone there and he wanted to put in a 44 unit building, he would not be able to do that, right?
Right.
But you wouldn't be able to do it at 2,000 either. You'd only be able to do 20 units.
True.
Right.
But he'd be, you know, you would, this would allow you to increase density.
Mhm.
That's, you know, that's what it would do.
Do we have any warning for?
Sorry.
In multifamily, I'm sure we
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, multifamily, they were quite large.
Yeah.
And then.
They're bigger than an acre. Yeah, yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
like 40 acres, something.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But some of them are like a half acre.
Mhm.
There are a few that are contained in that zone that are oddballs.
But to me, it would seem to have, you know, minimum of 2,000 square feet per dwelling unit, is what we ought to say here. And then,
Everybody go with 2,000?
that'd be my vote, but I'm perfectly willing to listen to other points of view on this. But if you look at it, you know, that would, you can only put 10 units on an acre.
You're right, and again, it comes down to the other aspects, the other limitations on the buildings, setback, height, the apartment sizes, all those things that we require that protect residents, protect neighbors. Those things were not changing. So this is kind of a density thing, but I think that makes a lot of sense, and it doesn't change much about what we have currently built.
Not. The other thing that the town allows you to go to 40 feet in the multifamily zone rather than our, what do we have, 35? Because that lets you go to 3 stories at 40, right? And so that's another thing to.
That would be, I hadn't gotten there yet, but that was, the one suggestion I would make is that, our multifamily zones.
I know we have 3-story.
Generally speaking,
Apartments here.
right, generally speaking, those zones would probably lend themselves to somewhat taller structures.
Well, the town allows you to go to 40, because that gives you 3 stories, right?
How many stories does 35 feet allow in a height?
2.5.
2 1/2.
I'd like to make a suggestion. We've done all these changes that we're looking at making. Why don't we take it home? Look at it individually based off of looking at a map, looking at what is supposed to be the purpose of those areas. And then at the next meeting, confirm or just.
Yeah, I think that's good, but we ought to make what we think, the changes that we think we want to make.
Yeah.
And
No,
so,
and I agreed with it.
Okay.
It's just, and look.
yeah, we're not making a final decision tonight,
Right.
for sure, on this section. So,
I'll just highlight the
yeah,
changes that
yeah. That's the 2000
we can
thing.
make in.
And then, 40 feet, yeah, that one too. And the other thing about, what do we have for, what's it, so, yeah, building coverage. We went to 40%, okay.
That's the end of.
Yeah, I think that's all. Oh, yeah, section 3 is really short, but there's like a lot in there.
Yeah,
Can I ask on, the maximum building height? Like when we did. Like the section 2, we said 35 feet above ground. But. More with one. Should we make some note to that on this, or? Is it just understood the maximum building height from the ground level?
There's a way to calculate it, right? Calculate building height in the definitions, I think.
Yeah.
Right. So we wouldn't change it. And calculate it the same way.
Okay.
I would think. But I know there's a definition in there for how to calculate building height, I'm pretty sure.
yeah, I think it's also a building code thing, so I think regardless of taking the building code, because I think they go from like midpoint of the ground or.
Yeah, and then it's got the, what the roof is.
Yeah.
And, where the,
That's in.
I think it's in the definitions and then. Building related terms. All right. 8:25. Want to dive into 7? Anybody need a break? We'll take 5. 5-minute recess. Put it. Yep, okay. All right, we'll be back at 8:30.
Enjoy.
Yeah. It was.
Or do I just exit out?
Oh, there's, can you click on record? Start recording. Thank you. We are back at 8:31.
So I have a question for you, Paul. Do we foresee needing an executive session?
Not that I'm aware, unless Taylor has a reason. No.
I know that, just for heads up, the attorney is going to, give you guys a set of questions for the court case and, you guys were taking written answers from you guys for court. So that's coming up soon. We just don't know when the questions will come.
With that,
Okay, so it doesn't sound
you
like
can tell
there's a
me later.
need.
Yes.
I was only asking because I thought if we would make a decision whether we stopped with the regulation review and, voted to approve an executive session and did that instead, but it sounds like we have a few more minutes to file on the regulations.
Yeah. We must decline.
All right.
All right, section 7.
Not really changing on the first page, but this is where I kind of gave an example. If you guys were to do a conservation traffic mitigation district, so this is what it would look like within. And then
So let me ask a conservation
Tell
traffic.
me what CTMZ is. I tried to look it up and had no luck.
conservation traffic mitigation districts,
Okay, got it.
Right,
Okay.
but where would that be?
that is up to you guys to decide. And it's optional to make this a district, like you can go without the district, but
No, what I'm asking is, what would that entail? Is it literally like environmental conservation? So if you had say a residential area in the vicinity of a conservation area, like a natural area, like you would take steps to deal with parking and traffic and whatnot, in the vicinity of that kind of thing? Is that what we're talking about?
so it basically just means that you can impose the parking requirements for under 16 units and under. That's pretty much the only thing that this zone would be.
But is there, to his point, I guess the question is it something that people would utilize because you're trying to protect something near it, or you,
Right, the
Doing
natural
it-
environment, the conservation bit, and that-
or it's just a way to change the requirements of something?
It sounds like a way to claw back some control over.
Yes,
It's right
exactly.
there.
I don't think I think they do.
But to your point, it should be related to what.
Yeah,
I get there
Yeah.
for.
like the shoreline or low-lying area or something where you're trying to,
We're going to do, but we do have some areas.
Yeah.
That are like that. The shoreline certainly. But part of the multifamily district, and even R8. In the vicinity of like the wetland area by Thomas Road, and, on the edge of the city. That would be, but I don't think any of those areas right now, I think they're set up so that they've got plenty of parking, so it's not. Probably not a challenge, not a reason for us to have to look at creating that district.
Yeah, so it could be in a zone where, or any area where you would be concerned about the actual environmental impacts of something, or just not regular parking, but
Well, it could be in an area where there's a lot of housing with limited parking, and so you may have to force developers in those areas to put in more parking, right? I mean, that's.
or reduce the size of the house in order to
Or-
accommodate more parking.
Right, but yeah, I mean, it's a way to manage parking in potentially congested areas. That's the way I took it.
yeah.
Right.
So like
Or-
Euchre Point, small lots.
That's what I was thinking.
Right.
You would prevent somebody from making the house much, the existing houses like gargantuanly bigger, a la Groton Long Point, where you can touch your neighbor's shingles.
Mm.
And in order to accommodate the parking.
Right, so we already have those rules for parking, and then the state changed some of them. And this is giving us the ability to define areas that we want to revert,
Right,
basically, to what either probably status quo.
right.
So we're not. I mean, it's important to be clear that we're not like limiting the existing,
No,
or, you know, the cap that's already there. It's just, we want to make the case that what's there is important enough. That, okay.
right.
And that kind of goes back to making the argument for not changing at least some of the 5.1 zones into multifamily potential, because multifamily means more parking in, and if you're looking at a spot like Jupiter Point, there's no off-street, there's very little off-street parking
Yeah.
opportunities, for less off-street parking opportunities in some of the smaller lots anyway. So you would just be congesting it even more, and then
This is definitely something that is homework.
Well,
Yeah,
and the other thing about it is you can have two of them, right? And each one may not exceed 4% of the municipality's total land area.
that too.
but
Right?
you can have two zones.
So you can have two of these zones, and they also may be contiguous.
Well,
So-
that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm giving up my two zones, but putting them together.
Unless
Unless
you define their limits different from one another.
So if you were, so say you were in this thing, right? And you know, you're on, you know,
Water Street.
Water Street in this thing, right? So you may wanna use that.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
may wanna make that one of these zones.
Yeah.
Because you got so many cars and so little space, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that would be the sort of the classic where you could pull this out of your,
yes.
Bag of tricks.
okay. Yeah, so I mean, I think it makes sense to put it, to put it in, you know, with the CTMD and without the CTMD.
Yeah.
So that it's clear, you know, we'll have to figure out where we want to put the CTMDs at some point, but this way it will be covered for, even if we don't do it.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt anything.
This is definitely something they should sleep on.
One last point on that, I just asked, if there's anywhere this is being used around us in our region, that'd be helpful when we're talking about this, like who implemented it.
Yeah. I can absolutely provide a copy for next meeting.
But I mean, it's
Right now, but
pretty new. right?
yes, yeah, we've seen some come in from the other towns in the Seacog region, so I can definitely forward those to you guys.
So I had a question on this section, the residential outside the CTMV.
Mhm.
So is it, we can regulate, it's anything, we can regulate anything that's more than 16 units, correct?
Yes,
So multiple dwellings so it's up to 16, that's that's not up to,
so I guess it's up to 17 because that's also another thing everybody received a lot of clarification on when this first came out, was because the bill was written, I think it was like 16 and it was just confusing on whether it meant 16 and over or 16 under. So I guess this has also been reviewed with the with CCOG. They said 17 units, so it's anything from 17 units and up that you can regulate.
so 17 units and up you can regulate.
Yep.
Okay, so no maximum. So there's no requirement, then wouldn't that be shouldn't that be 16? Because
Because up to 16, they're saying
Yeah.
that they could do as a matter of right.
okay, all right. Because this is. Okay, yeah, to me, it still seems like it should be 16 because you're saying that you can't make any requirement up to 16 units. At 17 units, you can make a requirement, right?
It's
So,
So C should say up to 16 units.
right, that's what I'm,
And D should say 17 and above.
Right.
right.
Looks like it's not resolving, but it looks like Cromwell has one of these zones. Trying to get that PDF. to come up with it.
Yeah, 17 and above, that makes, yeah, okay.
And
Now,
the Cromwell example, Shining Star of Connecticut, that it is, says exactly the same way, 16 and below, 17 and above. They're just the first one that I stumbled on.
Another thing I had was, that parking needs assessment.
I'm sorry, can you scroll,
Yeah.
Yeah, can you scroll down? So we went from, the numbering was messed up here. On one, okay, so. Go ahead, institutional uses is 3, right?
Yeah.
And then marine is 4, retail is should be 5, right? Yeah. And then everyone down the line is gonna change. Okay.
This is about,
And this is pretty much right out of the statute.
yeah, so this is also, taken by, other towns and amendments relating to, this housing bill. So this pretty much, requires a parking inventory and a parking needs assessment should, the developer feel that he or she needs, less parking spaces than what's required. So with parking needs assessment, they would, so it could either be, I think it's, now we have mixed up with the. I think you would have to accept. Yeah, I have clarification on this one, because I knew this one and then I forgot about it, but. But that pretty much just gives the guidelines for the parking needs assessment.
And they can always do more than is required, correct?
Yeah.
There's nothing that stops them from doing more.
Developers are inclined to want to do fewer parking spaces.
Right.
Just by nature, by their
Right.
nature. They're
But-
inclined to want to do
Well,
fewer.
that was the thing, well, yeah,
So at some point they run into limits on, impervious surfaces and things like that.
well, they
So
also,
you said make it prohibitive or.
they also run into people not having a place to park and getting, But
So I'm drawing a blank on whether you would accept the parking needs assessment or the state minimum requirements, but I think it might be the parking needs assessment. I'll definitely get clarification on that one.
yeah. You had is this your note? Taylor, that says, permanent parking reduction for a single property should also be updated to align more with the language of the bill.
I believe that was my colleagues. Yeah, so this was from the director of regional planning at CCOG. It'll also be updated to align more with language of the bill.
Okay, so,
So this one, yeah, we were suggested by CCOG to revise these to yeah, align more with the language of the bill. But I believe I think this is what this also addressed, but
Okay, so by putting that in, you covered that
yeah,
comment, okay.
permanent parking reduction. So I think I'll run this by them, but I think this can replace this basically.
Okay, good, okay. All right.
Should that list of items under number one be A's and B's and not ones and twos?
Yes. I will make a little note to do it. Good catch.
Where are we now?
It's 7.2.
Oh, this is, okay, now we're in the GC and GCR. So do those parking rules, they also apply to housing in, not just in residential areas, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, one of the things they wanted us to do is put more housing in commercial zones, right?
Mhm.
No big deal. Okay, so we have the same 16 and 17 thing here, that should be 16.
Yeah,
Up to 16.
Mhm.
Okay. And I have one more question about this. Can the CTMV be in the GCR zone? That can be anywhere. Okay. And somewhere we'd have to define where we put those, correct? That would be it. Okay. Places of assembly on the top of. Let's see.
Right.
Yeah, one space for each 4 fixed seats or equivalent. That's what's in there now. Does it mean anything? Equivalent gross floor area?
I wouldn't know
Yes.
for
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, Different places of assembly use seats or floor area interchangeably.
Also,
Example being a mosque uses floor area rather than chairs.
because they don't use them.
Right.
Okay. Equivalent gross floor, I just, okay.
So floor area equivalent to persons that would be assembled. That's, so if you had 4 people worth of floor area, that would be equivalent to 1 parking space.
Right.
Shouldn't that be defined like more specifically? Equivalent gross floor area, like how much floor area is equivalent to a
A fixed seat.
seat or a parking space. We're talking about parking, right? So,
Well, how many seat worth of floor area requires you to have a parking
Right.
space? Right.
or just simply go directly to how much floor area
Per
is
person.
equivalent to a parking space. Or requires a parking space.
Well, somewhere there was a,
Floor area to seat to parking space or just floor area to parking space. But what I'm saying is it should be more exact, like what is the floor area?
Of a fixed seat.
Yeah. So when the time comes, no one's guessing about how many parking spaces that means.
Yeah, I don't know, standing room only at a stadium.
Yeah,
Is that those areas. I don't know how they calculate that density versus is it an 18-inch wide seat?
Yeah.
21-inch wide seat, those sort of calculations.
Well, the purpose is translating it into required parking spaces.
Right.
That's the goal.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that. I mean, there was someplace we had language about maximum of 4 spaces per 1,000 square feet, or as determined by commission based on demonstrated need of applicant.
Actually, just down below, under office, for example, 3 spaces per 1,000 square feet of gross floor area. So they did translate it into a number. In retail and in office, 2 to 4 spaces per 1,000 square feet of gross floor area. So there's a translation or equivalency.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how people handle this, but it does seem a little bit.
Somebody knows. Taylor, you know,
but-
right?
But it's a little bit,
Yeah.
up to it's the eye of the beholder, but. All right. Is there, what's the action here? Is there,
I think where that would come into play is if, depending on the proposed use, you would say, okay, look, how many folks are attending, this stadium activity or this whatever, and how many do you reasonably expect? And then how many parking spaces does that translate to?
well, that's where that's where the language that says something like is determined by commission based on demonstrated need of the applicant.
Yeah.
Might be helpful, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. It could be the commissioner, it could be determined by the city planner based on that, but
Yeah.
there should be some way that somebody looks at what they're proposing to do. It says yea or nay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I can take a look at this and maybe
Okay.
develop some
Yeah.
language or. Well, if you guys want, just take out the ones that don't have the square feet of floor area out and just leave it like that, but.
There must be other towns that have information about this.
Yeah, there's
Just
gotta be some.
with many
something
churches,
already-
there's enough churches
Yeah.
around here.
Yeah.
Somebody must have come up with something.
Already been invented somewhere.
Okay, here we go. Residential 16 units and under. There's no 16 units and under, right? That's, yes. 17 plus. Yep, that's right. Yep. No, it was 17 or greater, correct?
Yeah, 17 plus.
Okay, all right.
You're right.
Sorry. You scroll back to the tape, to the boxes.
Which one are the ones above?
This one. I don't think the bicycle calculations follow our rounding rules. Just saying, like so that 96, right? So 1 for 10, that rounds to 9.6.
Mhm.
That's 9.6, that rounds to 10 by our rules, right?
Better convention.
Oh, yeah. I think, the way I understand it, and that rounds to, that actually 3.5 rounds to 3,
That would be forward.
right? 35, 3.5 rounds to, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, the 4, but well,
Well, I mean, the way we said, I think we say somewhere that 5 or less rounds down, and
Okay.
I think that's what it says. It's not, it's not a big deal.
Oh, let me, Leslie's changes to the sign section, so I incorporate those. I didn't know if did you guys review these?
We didn't actually look at them,
Okay.
but we all got them, but those of us who were on the commission that got them,
Yeah,
but. Yeah,
so if you
this
guys
was,
need more time to review these and we could definitely revisit this, because it's quite a big,
there's a lot of, well,
yes,
it's, you know, there's a ton of stuff that came out,
yeah.
and a lot of the content is similar, just moved around. But
Does the section also talk about the percentage, potential increase in the percentage of signage? I think it's like 20%. In the one of the lowest. One of the municipalities that offer the lowest advertisement on it or something.
well, we're going to prevent any more signs like the one on top of Paul's TV.
Yeah, no, I'm about to say.
I think regulations
I
are
think it's
designed to do that. I think that was the.
to gauge what is that.
So I think there's some requirements here where it's not to exceed 2 square feet or 8 feet in height.
Not to exceed 2 square feet in the area. Serving the name and address of the occupant.
You're not seeing anything, I'm sorry, I can't see in that text, small, but, you're not seeing anything about the 20%.
This section.
And sorry, don't let me get for you, I just remember it came up in conversation.
Yeah.
There we go. It's in here. 24 square feet.
Oh, it's probably in there. That's great, because we were just looking at it. It's in somewhere. Sorry.
Okay, we're gonna come back to this, so.
If anyone finds
So
it,
Sarah, you look at what you read and let us know what it is. This is all stuff that was removed.
Yes. I know the renumbering got messed up around here. I will fix that.
This is all basically what's in there now, isn't it?
Yep.
All right, so sorry, scroll back to the foot candle table. So we got, And you go down to, scroll down, there's grooming. I think that's animal grooming. I think,
Probably, yes,
pet grooming or something.
considering where it's grouped.
Yeah, so I thought it was, but it doesn't, I think it's, you could say animal daycare, training facility or / grooming too. I mean, they would all fit together.
Yeah.
But I don't think that meant like, hair salons and stuff.
Yeah, I can change that actually, right? Just to
Okay.
make it conform to them.
But the,
Yeah, whatever the definition was.
All I got stuck.
but isn't grooming different than daycare and training facility?
So we just passed a text amendment that would allow for
All
by
of those
definition.
things to happen
Yeah.
Yeah.
currently.
Yeah, we put them all in one.
Facility should be.
Did you do something, Jason?
I'm just trying to get caught up with you. I got so many signs.
Oh, we're in lighting.
Okay, look.
Ah. Got it.
And Kennel, I think at one time also had stable.
Oh, what?
It's stable as well, but I don't know if we really need that. But
Like kennel, do you mean overnight boarding?
yeah, that's like, dog.
Yeah,
Dog.
I'm just asking because I know in other towns there's been some disputes about doggy daycare versus doggy overnight.
Mm, right, yeah,
Yep.
that's why so we did. Yep. Okay, medical. So I don't know, but at one time there was a version of this where it had kennel / stable. I like it. That was in there. I'll leave that to your professional judgment about whether that makes sense.
I'll stay in forces going down the road here.
Probably not. But medical office used to say / lab. Retail less than 20,000, I think that needs to say SF after it. Right? Square feet. And same thing in the next column, retail greater than 20,000 square feet. That's all I get. Stormwater,
Stormwater.
all right. Here we go.
So I'm kind of creating a tiered table, just kind of showing based on your project you're proposing, what would we require and what's the best permitting pathways for that. So basically anything less than 2,000 square feet of new impervious surface or less than 5,000 square foot of land disturbance, that would be through administrative review. And then the applicant would basically just demonstrate that runoff will not negatively impact. So that pretty much means submitting a erosion report to Public Works. And then for the next tier would be 2,000 square feet to under an acre of new impervious surface or an increase in impervious coverage exceeding 10% of the lot area or parking expansion greater than 5 spaces. This would require a stormwater management plan with a referral from the city of Groton Public Works. So when they would come here, Public Works would write them ready. They would say, it's okay.
For 1 acre.
Sure. Oh, yeah, thank you, because I don't think I did well in that section enough. Perfect. And then we required at least one stormwater mitigation measure be required. So it could be rain, it could be tracing systems, swales, you name it, or permeable pavement. And then disturbance of 1 acre or greater, subdivisions, major commercial, big projects, they would need a full engineered stormwater management report and required to be submitted to a commission for review. And then it would also need to be prepared by a licensed engineer. And it needs to be in conformance with.
Could I ask for one small change, because I feel like it would be easier to read in the column under development activity, the second box,
Mhm.
2,000 square feet dash less than 1 acre. Could you just change, no, the next box,
Yeah.
change the dash to the word to TO?
Yes.
Because when I first looked at, I'm like, I first thought minus sign, and then I was just puzzled.
Yeah.
I think the word to would help.
So major commercial or multifamily development. So if it's greater than an acre, that makes it major, that's how we determine if it's a major commercial or multifamily development project, is that? Okay.
Yeah.
As long as we got use a way to tell. And this would clear up the questions that you've been getting and
Yeah.
in terms of drainage and all that
Yeah.
stuff? Okay. And that's all consistent with, because there's some state regulations about that too.
Yeah, and this has also been reviewed by the Public Works Department too, when they, in zoning too.
Okay, excellent.
And this also helps from the five corner stormwater assessment work. Some of this stems from trying to deal with the flooding that we're seeing in that area and kind of other areas as well. This will help address that.
Everybody all good with this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the way that's carved up.
Yeah. Easy to read and understand.
So that concludes it.
All right, so we got a couple things to come back to, mostly on the signage, right?
Yeah.
Next time.
I mentioned the potential district.
I'm sorry, the
Potential district if you want, but
The conservation
Oh,
mitigation.
yeah. Yeah, we should, we define it in our regulations?
to the actual definition of the district,
Yeah,
I can provide the definition of that district for you guys. And yeah, I can put in the regulations.
I mean, if we're gonna talk about it, we should define it, right?
Yeah, I'll come to
So-
the next meeting with definition.
Okay, all right.
Or when I send you guys examples of these incorporated conservation districts and yes, definition.
I think it would be awkward to have columns for this is how it would be if you were in a conservation and traffic mitigation district or not. And then have nowhere in the reg say that we have a conservation
Yeah.
traffic mitigation district. You know what I mean? Like I know it's a thing that could be employed. And maybe we could have a definition for it. But I wouldn't show any regulations for it. You know, some specific boundaries of what happens in that district.
You just want to say that the commission can designate a conservation mitigation district.
Yeah, but I mean, I think unless we are going to, then it would be confusing to have the requirements in the regs, because people will go, wait a minute, what page is that district on? What district are we talking about?
That's kind of why I asked for an example to see how other people are applying it,
Yeah.
because it's kind of obvious what it's designed to do,
Mhm.
but. You have a great point, you have to sort of introduce it as a thing. not
So
just-
the Cromwell example that I just skimmed over, they said, okay, well, we've got a bunch of districts like we do. They've got 12 square miles to our 3, but they said, look, we're gonna make 2 separate zones, CPMDs. And one is gonna be this industrial area up here, and one is gonna be this district down here. Now, because of their square mileage, each of those districts can only be 0.5 square miles. And so none of those acre areas fit conveniently into their existing zones. So they had so it'd be like taking the GCR 75, but minus, a quarter acre of it or something because we couldn't go to the full zone or something. So they said, well, it's going to be most appropriate to have that CTMD cover this specific area, like this road to this road or something. And I'm still not super clear on where the conservation bit fits into how they carve those up. So I'd love the definition, but it would be something that we would figure out if the definition makes it appropriate for us to do in the city. And then I would say either we would plan to do that or plan to leave it out of the regs until such time as we change our minds.
Yeah, I mean, the only problem with leaving it out is then you gotta go back and re-update a bunch of
It's,
sections.
it's nice to introduce the concept so that you have the
And then you can,
subjectivity.
even if we put it in a little bit that says location of CTMDs to be determined. I mean,
It exists as a concept.
right.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
introduce the concept
Yeah.
and what the impact would be, but we say, man, we don't know where we're gonna put them yet, cause.
Mhm.
So if you did have a column,
You can even, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
I'm sorry, I'm just thinking out loud. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, you can introduce the concept and even the purpose without
Yeah.
specifying the where and
And
that.
you can clean up the language. It's not necessarily the word conservation is used broadly, sort of.
That is that's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
What's the purpose of that word there?
We need.
It's sort, in my reading of it, it's sort of like, Communist East Germany was a German Democratic Republic. Where you throw the word in there and then you're not.
It's a sales tool. It's a.
It's the-
So,
So I guess if you're gonna have a column that says, if we have a zone. These would be the specifications. You'd have to have a big old, note 1 at the bottom. The city of Groton does not currently have a zone that.
Right.
Which this applies.
Specifics, I think you can introduce the concept and the purpose of the concept without saying, and it's gonna be X, Y,
That's what I was thinking
Yeah.
at first, but Paul's saying that if we do the legwork now and the specs are somewhere in the regs, even if there's a big star, then all we have to do later is remove the star. Or say this applies to that zone.
Well, I was just thinking, at the moment you need it, you might not want to define it now, because at the moment you need it, you'll know how you want to define it.
We're doing
As location, may not want to define.
I
agree.
I have a comment.
Sure.
In order to have any kind of shortness of CDM or whatever it is,
Yeah.
you have to define it before you can use it.
Right.
And since you do have it as the initials at the top, you could do a footnote saying, as of this date, the city does not have any designated areas. And that will at least let people, so, if the commissioners don't know what it is, the general public isn't gonna know what it is.
Right, and
So,
I know that could clear up some of the confusion. But if we're not gonna have, a low Earth orbit spacecraft landing area zone, then why would we put in, a page of specifications about if we were to designate such a zone, this is what the specs would be.
no, I'm just
In case in
saying,
the future, you know what I mean? Like
We probably don't have a stable.
spacecraft.
Because we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know what's gonna happen, if we get, if a bunch of people decide they wanna build buildings on Thames Street or Bridge Street, we might need to designate those areas where you're gonna have to provide parking because there's not much on-street parking there, right?
Right, and I think that once we are more comfortable with the definition, we might already see areas. that we're-
Right, so we gotta take it, let's get a handle on the definition.
Yeah.
We understand what we got in there what the impact would be in terms of parking. And then we can maybe look at, is the Thames Street, Bridge Street corridor, is that where it would make would be most likely to be helpful?
Like I'm already
Necessary?
thinking, based on what my limited understanding of this is, we could look at, say, Bridge Street, where the zone covers both sides of the street. But maybe the south side of Bridge Street is where you put that conservation zone so that you can, you know what I mean?
this is really interesting. I think the state has opened a can of worms here for litigation. That I think we should.
Percentage. Because you said it's limited to.
That's.
and my only comment was, you really could define it somewhere.
Yeah, and what I'm gonna do is just add it as definition for now, should the commission decide to adopt a district, then we can. work that.
And my second question. Sorry,
No, go ahead.
legal on-street parking spaces as determined by the Groton Traffic Authority. Do we have a city authority or do we just follow the town of Groton?
The mayor is the traffic authority for the city.
I'm sorry,
The mayor is the traffic authority.
so do we want to change that to the city of Groton Traffic Authority?
Does it say town?
It just says Groton Traffic Authority.
Could say the mayor.
Well,
I
I
probably
think,
shouldn't say the traffic authority.
Yeah. It doesn't.
Traffic authority,
Yes,
but for the city of.
So city of Groton.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah,
One last note about that, the parking environmental. I think. Not gonna put a can of worms, but if we're gonna place that somewhere here, we should have the public engagement on that. So that we have some credibility for that in case there's pushback on it, that it's not, we didn't just. Yeah, that environmental wording just decide ourselves, and I think that's more defensible if then there's litigation about it. You know, we can explain that the public identified these areas as conforming or whatever, so I think.
Yeah.
That,
No, I think that's a good idea. I mean, we could, when we do our presentation about these things, we could bring that up.
share that this is an option, and if somebody.
Somebody
if
may
people
put
think-
commission.
Or, yeah. it's a-
well, the way I understand that conservation thing is it just gives the municipality an option to do an end run around the state law.
And you can tell by
And
the.
to step away from the state law.
And even by the language, you can see prescriptive, I mean, they're designating only a small percentage of the town that you can use it in, so they're already anticipating, we're giving you a little set aside.
It's an
Set
option.
aside, yeah.
It's an some optionality.
Allowing a little bit of home
Home rule.
rule. 4% of the area of your city. You could decide. All right, discussion, so. I'm not gonna be physically here on June 16th, but I'll let you all know if I can call in or not, okay? So just so folks are aware of that. And Taylor, have you heard anything about what's going on, the Colonel Edwards School project, is there?
No.
Okay, I asked, John Reiner about it last time I saw him, he was gonna check with him, and he touched base with you, or. You guys heard anything from? All right. Anybody have anything else discussion wise? All right, that's it.
Um,
Go
I
ahead.
just have an invite for the commission and it's the event for June 3rd at 6 p.m. The EDC is going to do our Connecticut Main Street assessment. Basically what that is you guys are basically writing the rules for the commercial districts, but the EDC is going to be doing a more managed approach where we do outreach to the commercial property owners and the businesses, trying to work with making sure property owners understand what is within their purview, what they can actually do with their parcels, and definitely encouraging them to come meet you guys, but then also working with that group and the businesses to really kind of start to frame that public realm, the public space, so that's kind of our bread and butter where we can make the most difference. And so the EDCs are kind of like the implementation group, and we'll be working closely with you guys. So we just wanted to extend the invite to the assessment so I can be a part of how that management process may move forward and kind of learn a little bit more about what we're doing.
This is an event.
June 3rd at 6 o'clock, and it will be a hybrid meeting, so it'll be here in council chambers, but I'll definitely send the Zoom link out for you guys so you can join that way.
So will property owners be here?
I'm not sure if the property should be here, so we're inviting, so it's the EDC, you guys, and then city council. We figured since we're adopting this management approach, we should make these three groups like kind of aware of how it's moving forward and allow us to have a little bit of dialogue about what that looks like, since it does cross over, especially when we get to like plan and conservation and development. You guys will really see how this groups you guys into both that work with the EDC structure.
What day of the week is that?
It's
Thanks, you.
All right, anything else? Anybody? All right, motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Bergeron, second by Mr. Boris. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, so. Oh,
Passes 6.
that's right. It's a 6-0 now.